crew builders, welcome back to the workbench and part 6 of the Mars Rover Perseverance and Ingenuity helicopter from Metal Earth. This kit has had a lot in store for us. We've been building all kinds of crazy details, especially little tiny ones, and right now we're going to be going through parts 90 through 118. Let's go ahead and get started with the first part. This is part 90. This little guy right here is just actually kind of a square. I've gone ahead and bent the little side bits of detail here on either side. Very simple stuff, nothing too crazy. But now what we're going to go ahead and do is bend the centerpiece. Being that's a little bit longer, it's a little harder to get the entire piece bent at once. Now, there are tweezers out there that are a little bit longer. They look like these. These guys are known as ESD34. These extra big tweezers are really nice for bringing the edges down. We can go on both sides to do that. There we go. And now what we need to do is take our other piece here. We're going to bend this into a cylinder. Let's go ahead and do that. Need something just a little bit bigger here. I think this one should do it. Let's see. There we go. Go back to my old tweezers here. Bring my pliers in here just to make sure I get a nice little crimp. There we go. Awesome. Now we can take this piece here and place it into part 90. It's part 91 here. Let me see if I can get this in the correct way. Goes like this. There we go. Whoopsie. Now these ones we need to actually bend flat, and I'm assuming because if we leave them twisted, they are going to be in the way. So in the past, what we've learned, it's really a good idea to bend and then, twist and then bend these. So we're going to do a little bit of a bend, a little bit of a twist. Do that twice in a row. We're going to do a little twist there, and then we'll bend it down. So again, we'll do a little twist. I almost did it a third time, and then we're going to push it down. Same thing on this side here. And lastly, push that guy down. Okay, now all of these tabs are out of the way, I believe. Let me just make sure on the profile there. Yes, they are. And that means that we're good to move on to our next piece that we need to shape. Now, this one is part 92. I'm gonna take a quick little look at this guy though and see if it'll be easier for us to actually attach it and then form it, or if it's better to just kind of form everything out from where it is. It looks like it's actually okay to form it out from where it is. So let's go ahead and do that. What we're gonna do is kind of follow the base. Before I go making any crazy decisions, let's bend this part here. Because we know this is a kind of a box. Okay, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is kind of prop it out just a little bit, just like that. And now what I want to do is I want to bring this kind of, you know what? Let's double check our work here before I go crazy on it. Yeah, this guy is going to go here, like this. Same with this side, like that. And now this lays flat. So we'll take this side here, we're gonna grab it and we're gonna lay it flat like that. We're gonna take the side little detail and we're gonna bend that one in, creating that little detail the way we want it to be orientated, I should say. Like this, and we can push in the detail a little bit to match it up to the other wall. Bring it out just a little bit. There we go. Maybe we can lay that flat. Yeah, sweet. All right, that looks really good. Where does this go though? Oh, it goes right here. That's right. Silly me. A part of me thinks that I may have put the head detail on incorrectly. And the reason why I think that is because it was so difficult to get in place. And I want to be clear on something. When it comes to Metal Earth models and things, in general, if you're having a hard time putting a piece into place, that usually means that you've done something wrong. And I was looking at the instructions really carefully to make sure I didn't make anything wrong there. Because, you know, like I love space models. These are some of my favorite builds. And I know I've been kind of saying, you know, complicated with the details and all, but I love this stuff. These are my favorites. I think space builds are right up there with the architectural builds. The only reason why I like the architectural builds so much is because I love learning the history behind the buildings when I do the projects. And I know I haven't really done too many history-focused projects. You know, back in the day when I was doing this, I first started doing it, I was really kind of trying to do a heavy focus on history when I was building these models to kind of have a little bit of entertainment to go along with it. But I was heavily criticized for some of my history. Like, I love history. I'm a study of history. I'm a student of history. I love learning about it. But you know how the internet is. It's a little bit unforgiving. And I was a little sensitive at the time. So I think now that I'm in a different place, I think it'd be better for me to go back to that because my confidence is way higher than it was back then. And I feel like I have something to offer, and it would be an interesting little look because, you know, some of us are collectors and we don't necessarily know the history behind some of the things we're building. We just think it's a really pretty building or a really nice model. And then when we get it, we're building it, we want to learn a little bit more about it. And when you're sitting with me building these kinds of cool projects, why not learn a little bit more about it? Why not learn what these pieces are actually called, what parts of the actual rover that we're building? I think that would be kind of neat to do. And I've reached out to a few people to see if they would help me with this project. I haven't heard a whole lot back from them. I'm not going to put them on blast for not getting back to me either. I'm a smaller creator, so when I reach out to people, so it's really 50-50 if they're going to say anything back to me. I have been incredibly surprised by some of the responses that I've gotten from people, and other ones, you know, smile. But I'm actually, that's one thing I love about this little hobby of mine. You know, when I first started it, I didn't know anybody, and I always looked at wanting to do YouTube and wanting to do this myself. And doing it over the years has been a real joy. A little bit of a pain sometimes, but only when, you know, only when I take it a little bit too seriously, or the business aspect of it kind of takes away the fun every once in a while, which that unfortunately happens with any hobby. The minute you turn it into a business, the fun sometimes will go away, but only temporarily, and it's all about attitude as well. So if you have the right attitude coming into this, you'll be just fine. Alrighty, now we got this guy right here. We can go ahead and press this down. I'm hoping to get some new models here soon for the business. I've been trying to get a new position, and I did get a new position, which allows me to have a little bit more funds to be able to fund the store. All the money that I do get in sales goes right back into the store right now because it's such a small little thing. But I do try to do my best in getting the best possible prices for everybody out there so that when you guys are building these cool things, you guys aren't getting, you know, you can build as many of these models as possible. I think that's super important. Now that we got all these things done, we can go ahead and put them on and into their place. We're going to start off with this little guy we just built here, and then I get these little tabs on either side. Again here, we might have to play a little bit with our tabs, but they look like they're just right on the edge. And it seems like with these little lines right next to the tabs, it makes the tabs want to go in those lines instead of in the actual insertion holes. Do one of these. Do one of these. Cool. Right on. I love that all these little details are kind of adding up a little bit as we go, and I'm really curious to see what this whole thing's gonna look like when we get all the pieces put onto it. All right, now we got that little guy on there, we need to move on and put some more details into place. These ones are kind of more of what we've already done. That's this guy right here. Just gonna take this little one, we're gonna bend it down on either side just like these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our little detail and we are going to bend it down first, just like that. And then we're going to grab this side of it and we're going to bring it back like that. There we go. Nice and matched up. Same thing on the other side. We're going to go down here first. There we go. And then now what we're going to do is take these and on either side, bend these little ears just like that. And we're going to make sure they're kind of square. Okay, now we've got this little looking shape right here, which I think looks pretty cool if you ask me. But before we do anything else, we need to do one more thing, and that's bend this little guy down like these. There we go. And now we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna place it on. Normally, I have been bouncing between this build a little bit back and forth between actually putting these on as we go and waiting until we have them all built. There is a positive and negative to this. Positive in that it gets the pieces that we've built out of the way, which is super nice. But the issue about that is that these pieces sometimes, as we place them into their place, can get in the way of other parts, which is super annoying. Like right now, what is going on here? There we go. Okay, you stay in your place. There we go. Twist and twist. Cool. Right on. That looks really good, I think. I'm making sure that we put it in the proper orientation, which we did. Let's move on to part 96. Oh, sorry, correction. Let's move on to part 95 first. I'm getting ahead of myself, it looks like. So now with this one, we're gonna bend one side down, and that actually feels like it's gonna break. It feels very flimsy, so I'm gonna be very careful with that side. And first things first, we're gonna bend this down 90 degrees. Then we're gonna come back to that other small line. And again, bending it 90 degrees, making sure that we can do our best to make sure that's as flush as possible. Again, I'm really worried about this little side here. I don't want to break it. And then we're going to go just shy of that little line and we're going to bend down. Now, sometimes when you do that, you might have the area kind of pop back out. If you make sure you go to along this line here and run your tweezers kind of up and down it, you can actually help get that out. If you need to, you can pull it out a little bit and try to crank it like this, and that could help you. Otherwise, though, we did a pretty good job here, I think, of getting it to the line and where we want it to be. So now what we're going to do is the same thing on this side. We'll do it again. This one's actually a lot easier because it's just a small little like cord like that. And then we're going to again move our tweezers down to the line, and then we're going to just pull it back like that. Boom. Now we're going to bring this down here on this side, and there we go. Our part's fully formed. Let's go ahead and put it onto our piece here again. Now again, normally I do like to put it into where the detail is. On this piece, however, there's detail on both sides, so you cannot win. But don't worry, it's not that hard of a piece to get in place. Okay. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's a problem. Now, I just realized something. Do you see? There's two spots. There's a one right here and one right here. We need this one to be here. And it's a good thing I noticed that, because later on down the road, there was going to be a part that we weren't going to be able to put in place properly because that was not in its right spot. So keep that in mind when you're installing this box right here. This box is part 95. You want to make sure that you put it into the right insertion hole on the one side closest to this little bit of detail that we added on here. Just see if I can grab it here. Listen to me. You need to go into the one below. Okay. You were fine. Listen to me, you're going in the hole. There we go. I gotta be careful. You know, the other day I was singing on my one of my well, I shouldn't say the other day. It was like 2 years ago. I was singing on one of my builds, and I just got a copyright claim on my video, which is I went and reviewed the copyright, and it's when I was singing. I know that it's not a proper copyright claim because I think that like humming a song should kind of fall under fair use, you would think. Yeah, you know, some dude's taking some of my revenue for a little bit off that video. It's not that big of a deal. I don't make any money off YouTube, so have fun with nothing there, buddy. I am monetized, which is a cool little thing, but I just don't make much. I don't make any money on YouTube. I think I make like $23 a month. I'm not too sure. So this is a passion of love. And you know, many people have said, why don't you change up your channel a little bit? Why don't you do some other projects? Like, you know, I really love some other things, and I'm very passionate about these other projects, and they do take up a lot of my other time. And it would be a lot easier for me to be able to actually focus my channel on some of those other hobbies. But it wouldn't be group builders, and I love group builders. Sorry, I'm getting a little sentimental, I guess, in this video today. A lot of reflection time is happening. I mean, when we're building, this is kind of the best time to do those kind of reflection moments. We can concentrate on what we're doing, but also think about our patience and think about some of the things that we're doing. It's good to be present, though, as well. Very good to be present. Take your mind, let everything else kind of melt away, and just work on what you're doing. That's what I kind of like about these models a lot. There's almost a meditative quality to them when you get down to a certain point, like we are right now, when we're bending this little piece right here. Now, normally I would get one of my bending tools to help me here, but I'm going to show you guys how to do this just with your tweezers. Now, as I do this, you can see that I'm using multiple small bends to get the shape that I want. And I'm taking my time. Now, this one little bit here at the end is a little tricky because you have to kind of over bend it and then tuck it. But just like that, we can get a really nice shaping, but you can see it just takes a little bit of time, and some guys can come out here and just kind of yank it and put it right into place. And yeah, you know what, you can YOLO it and do that too, but I personally think it looks best when you do it this way. Now we've gone ahead and we've placed that into place. We've got a little bit of formation happening here. One thing we need to do now, though, is take this little 97 piece and place it onto the side, making sure that we, of course, put it onto the proper side. That would be kind of important, so let's do that. Big and bottom. So let's see here. Big piece and bottom piece. Big piece, bottom piece. There we go. Cool. That looks good. All right. Yeah, that looks really good. Now that we got this in place, we can go ahead and put it onto our little bit of detail that we formed earlier. Let's see if we can actually get it into place, though. And hey, look, that little tab we were talking about earlier, that little space that we needed, we actually need it for right here. So that's good. The only problem when it comes to bending these tabs first is that they want to escape. If you're having this part jump out at you a lot, just twist these tabs and you should be okay. And then afterwards, you can go back and you can change them to whatever you want. Okay, I got that one piece in that I wanted to get in, and now the rest of them we can just work. Now this one should be actually a little easier than you might think, and that's because it's a single part and it moves separately than the rest of the piece. So in theory, there she is. You're disguised by the other tab, you silly goose. But I got you. Alrighty. Now we got those guys right there. I think we're looking pretty good here on our little bit of detail. And that means we can actually put it down to our side and we can move on to our leg bits, which I think is kind of cool. These ones here, it starts off with part 89, or I should say, sorry, correction, 98. I'm having a little bit of dyslexia, I think, today. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these guys and we are gonna go right to the edge like we've done before. And we're just gonna bend her flat, just like this. Now we can also use our bender tool for this, and I can show you how we can do that. We take our little bender tool, we open it up just like this, And then we can actually use this side over here because it's skinnier, and we'll go right to here. We'll just put her down. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our little guy and we're gonna bend her up just like this. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yep, just like that. Open her up, put her back down, boom. Got our piece nice and formed. Actually, we can go a little bit more there. Yeah, there we go. Not bad. We could have also just used our tweezers for this. These guys here work really well to do that if you want to use the little vise, or sorry, use a little bit of a break in the inside here. You can do that, and it works actually pretty well. So that's also an option for you if you don't have the Bender 1.0 tool. But if you're looking for one, links are always in the description. Now let's move on to the next piece. That's part 99. What we need to do here is just bend this guy down, and then I'm going to take my tool here. This is my securement tool, and I'm going to put a little bend in this. I'm not too sure how much of a bend I actually really need, so I'm kind of guessing there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to bend one part here. Okay, so that's my little bend. So that stays straight, and then this one here goes 90. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. Yes. Okay. That's about-ish correct. I think we're gonna have to come back here and probably do things, but it looks pretty good to the instructions. I mean, at least I think it does. So now that we got this though, what we need to do is attach these pieces together. So it goes long piece here. Okay, there we go. Looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. And now what we need to do is grab the other part of this, which is this guy right here. And what I'll go ahead and do is show you the other method I was talking about. So you can bend it like this, about 90. The only problem with this is you can't really judge it as good as you can on the Bender 1.0 tool. The Bender 1.0 tool. I'm having a hard time with my words today, but that is about what you need to do. See, works very similar, and it's also very effective. Now let's go ahead and do this thing like this thing. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Hey, you got that in there pretty good too. Good job. Now we can just go ahead and kind of do one of these things like this. Take it over here and do it like that as well. Cool. All right. Yeah, there we go. Not bad at all. And yours is looking pretty good too, I might add. I think I'm just gonna put a little bit more of a bend in mine right here, just to make sure we get I don't want a crease, and I think I might have one there if I'm not too careful. So anyway, there we go. We got this guy right here. Let's go ahead. Yes, I think that actually looks pretty in line with what we're supposed to be expecting, I believe. Yeah, it's about-ish. And then this actually connects over into here now. Now, if I did this correctly, the next part that we put into place should pretty much look the same as the little thing that I've done here. I don't think it will, but you know, we don't know. Let's go ahead and grab the next little part here, which is part 101. 101 goes right here. Oh, actually, before we put anything else onto it, we actually need to make a cone here. This is our cone. Now, cones are pretty interesting. I think this is actually our first cone of the build. There's multiple different ways of doing this. If you have a tool, you can actually roll it around the back and it will make it pretty much instantly a cone. If you don't have a tool, you can use your tweezers and do the same method that we did before when we got that nice little front. Just by making little bends like this, you can actually get a really nice cone. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little tool here, and I'm gonna push the little head off there a little bit. You know what? No, I'm not. That's taking too long. Let's take our tweezers and do it the old school way. We already had some good success earlier doing it the old school way, so let's just do it. So again, going right to the corner, I'm gonna be very malicious with that corner, and then I'm going to go around and just keep bending. Just little by little, nothing too crazy. And again, I'm taking my time here, guys. Like, I know it may not look like it, but I am. I'm not happy with that shaping. We're very close to happy, but not happy enough. There we go. That looks way better. No teardropping. I told GB1 I didn't want carpet inside the workbench area, but he didn't listen to me. He's recarpeted it like 3 times. I'm like, you know what, GB1, we're done with the carpets. So I think the next time that he carpets this floor, I'm going to take him out to the old bot shed there and maybe let him power down for a little bit, think about what he's done, and then we can get back to business. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to place this guy here. It looks like in the center. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think I could actually bend these flat, twist them, but I'm going to bend them flat. I just got a funny feeling they're going to get in the way. So I'm going to do this and make sure that they are secured. That actually looks pretty good. Let me just kind of correct it a little bit around the edges. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that looks a little bit better there. I like that better now. Okay, what do you think? I think that looks pretty good. Now we can move on to the next little step here, which is actually us placing this onto our part here. Now all I'm doing here is just kind of moving this part back and forth a little bit. And with a little bit of a push, I should be able to get each one of these tabs in. If you're doing it this way though, just be careful because you might accidentally push a little bit too much and that will cause the whole piece to warp. I'm trying not to bend this detail up too much right here, but it seems like it doesn't really want to go into place. I might have to be a little bit more forceful, I guess is the word I'm looking for, with this piece, and I don't necessarily want to be. So I'm being a little bit, I need to make big decisions, and I need to do it. I need to do it sooner than later. So okay, close. There we go. All I did was pull a little bit there and I got it to come down, and it definitely is tight through here. Definitely is a little tight through there. What I'm going to do right now though is I'm going to go ahead and secure these guys before I lose them. And I feel a little bit weird with how tight it is. It doesn't feel like it should be this tight, but we shall see. Pull you guys back up here because I forgot to bend the end detail. You see, the thing is, I see this stuff right here. See how there's like it makes me think there's supposed to be some kind of detail going in there. It makes me a little sketch. I think these guys here are actually supposed to go on the inner tabs. So let's bend this properly first. And then, yeah, it's good there actually. Yeah, it lines up with the inside. So that's probably what we were doing wrong the first time around, is we were getting on the outside there, which is no bueno. There we go. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna secure these guys here. And I'm gonna bend them down. I did a little twist, but I'm also gonna just do a little push just to make sure they're out of the way completely. All right, I think that's how it's supposed to be. Kind of a little bit weirded out by this a little. I kind of feel like I'm forgetting something. And I know it sounds really weird, but I do feel like I'm genuinely forgetting something. Oh, it does. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm not forgetting something. There is a little bit of a thing here that goes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to place it in place. Or we're going to try to. Okay, so what I think we should do first is kind of get the general shape of this. So we'll bring this around. I like these. Press a little bit here on the front. Widen it out just a little bit there. Press a little bit there. And that's about right. maybe a little bit too much of a bend, but we'll see. And now it's a matter of getting everything in place. It looks like just the 2 outer tabs got to go into place. Pushing this in here, and now that I got these guys kind of secure, we're going to bend them down again, just like this. I'm hoping that's going to be out of the way. Now, the next little bit here that we're going to be placing on is that little bit of detail that I thought we were forgetting about. This one I've unfortunately already done. This was just a little cylinder, very easy to roll, just using your basic, shaping tool, or just doing what we did before, which is taking your tweezers and basically making a whole bunch of little bends until you make a cylinder. It looks like I actually made this cylinder a little bit too small. There we go. Grab these 2 little oh man, I keep getting one and then the other one pops out. It's so annoying. I definitely made this cylinder a little small, that's for sure. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. That is a hard piece to get in there. I will say, like, this little cylinder here, that is a little bit of a tricky piece to get in place. I won't be surprised if some people really struggle with that part. It really just comes down to going back and forth and just kind of making sure that it's big enough to fit into place. If you're struggling with that part, I completely understand, and that's part 103. But now that we got that done, we're gonna go move on to part 104. Part 104 is actually pretty easy to do. All we're gonna be doing is kind of following the edges like we've done so many times before. Just bending these guys down, making this guy 3D. Well, trying to make him 3D, I guess we should say. Just make sure we bend all of these pieces where the borders are connecting. That is super important. I can't tell that enough. And looks like we got a little box here to form too, so. Oh, we got a burr. Take care of that. And now, there we go. Take this guy here, fold her down. Awesome. And okay, now that we got that, we can move on to our next little bit here, and that's just taking this one right here. And you're noticing I'm not bending that little front part, and that's because you'll see why in a moment. We're actually going to get the piece that we need to help us form that, and then we'll get that in the right spot. If you try to bend it beforehand, you might be able to do it. And I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that it's a lot easier to grab the other piece you're going to be needing to bend everything together. It just makes everything look nicer. Okay. Bend her down. Go over here, grab this dude. You go flat too. And now we're into the fun zone. Now, like I said, we're going to take these guys here and we're going to take it right from there and we're going to bend her just like that. Okay, I'm going to show you why we do that. Now we're going to take our little piece right here. Whoopsie. This little guy is part 106. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by placing it right here at the beginning. If I can get these 2 pieces to coalesce here. Push them down just a little to line them up. There we go. And now what we're going to do is go to the one side here. And again, kind of doing what we did before, make some small bends. And we're going to try to bend every piece of the metal. And then we're also going to try to get that guy into its proper area as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this tab here, we want to kind of have a little bit flat, and that's because we're going to be putting the tab into there. Just gonna go back around here and make sure I got the proper shaping. It looks like I got a nice little balloon there. And then we're gonna do this side here. Same kind of a deal. Making sure that we got a nice little bend going on. And two things are about to happen here. We're gonna take our tab. We're gonna bend our tab basically back in on itself almost, like that. Looks about right. And then we're going to take this guy here. This is where it gets tricky, because we gotta do like two things at once. Alrighty, we're so close. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna take this little guy here, bend him flat, like this. Take this guy here. See? No panicking. We got it done. We got it done. Now we can take our little arm here, place our arm on top. And I can already see maybe our one tab there is going to get in the way of the other. So let's go ahead and bring this up. This past weekend, I watched the entire season, or not the entire season, I should say, the half season of Stranger Things, the new 4th season. I think this one, I know a lot of people are saying it, but I also agree with them. This is definitely one of the best seasons so far. In my opinion, Stranger Things was really good in the first season. And it was really good in this season. The rest of them are okay. Okay, they're not great. This is kind of what I wanted from Stranger Things, if you understand what I mean. This is the kind of stuff I wanted from Stranger Things, so now that we're getting it, it's super exciting. I love it, and I want more of it. This is so good. I want everyone to watch it, especially some of the themes in this are just so good that I can't stress enough. They handled them so well, and yeah, really enjoyed this season so far. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already. Get out there and watch it. Now, we got this little arm here done. We can move on to part 107, which is basically kind of similar, but a little bit different. This one should take a little bit less time though. We're gonna take this like this, come around here to the other side, bend her like that. Cool. Then we're gonna take this back side here, and there is a little bit of a connection point, which I missed. So we're gonna bring that like this. Bring this up, I should say. Bring this back a little. I don't want to bend anything else though, so I gotta be careful. And a little bit of a push. Why am I having a hard time getting things into their holes today? This actually seems like a very common thing with this build. It seems like I'm having this, in general, just kind of a hard time. This is marketed as one of their harder builds. So far, I would actually completely agree with that. It's not that it's impossible. However, if you are new to 3D metal model building, this one is definitely putting you through your paces. You're going to have a struggle. That being said, though, if you're a veteran model maker, if you've got a couple under your belt for sure, and you're looking for something that has a lot more detail, this guy right here is definitely the one you want to grab. But if you're one of those people that likes to power through these things and kind of rush them out a little bit, this one's going to cause you a lot of angst, because this one you cannot build quickly, as you've seen from the amount of parts that I've had to do with all of these videos. Actually, before we do that, let's go grab this guy here. And this one gets bent kind of in the middle-ish. And then now we're going to do a little bit of a twist, and we're going to do a little push, do a little twist, and a little push. There we go. Very cool. That little arm detail looks kind of nice, I got to admit. Now that we got this on here, though, what we need to do is move on to our next little bit, which is this guy right here. Very similar to what we've done before. Take this guy, and we're just going to bend it like this. Come back over to this side, grab her like this. And there we go. Cool. Now that we got that, we can take our little cylinder that we got here, which we don't have yet, but we're about to have. And we're gonna take our little cylinder and we're gonna do a little turn. Like that. Bring it a smaller bit. There we go. Kinda, sorta. What's going on here? Did I not press you hard enough? Apparently not. Okay, there we go. Now that we got here, let's go and place our little places in here. The great thing about this is that one of these is a 3-prong and the other one is a 2-prong. So you can't put them in the wrong spot, which thank you Metal Earth for doing, because this is already kind of an interesting piece to build. So for the fact that you've done that for us, it does make life a lot easier. There we go. Take this guy here. Okay, grab this one here. Wait, what? I messed up, I think. Okay, had a little bit of fumbling around there, had to change a part out, but we got the right ones in place and everything pretty much was exactly the same as the previous one here, just with some smaller pieces. So I went ahead and just skipped to right here. But now that we're here, what we need to do is put these two guys together. And I think this is gonna be quite interesting. So let's go ahead and try to do that. The first thing we're gonna do is take our back little piece here and then match it back to these little details here. Again, I'm going to press as hard as I can to make sure I get as much of the tab as possible within my tab bending tool. So that I can get a really solid connection. That's super, super important. There we go. All right, now that we got this on here, what we need to do is attach the next bit of detail that goes on. And these ones are actually interesting. These are little wheels right here. And they're going to go on the bottom pieces right here. Now, I don't think there's a wrong way of placing it, but we do want to make sure that we put the engraved detail facing towards us, because when you look into the wheel, you're going to see that detail. So it's important to make sure we put that on like that. Now, I'm just going to make sure that we can get it in.
Ooh.
Okay, now these are all untwisted. We can go ahead and place this guy all into their places, and I'll show you what we're gonna do. So first, let's see if we can get these guys in their place. Now, because I had to untwist everything, I anticipate that these are gonna be a little bit trickier to put in. Typically, if you don't have your tabs bent, it makes life a lot easier. But that one went in pretty easy. So now that we got this here, we're gonna go ahead and twist it now. And again, doing the same method we did before, is making sure we alternate the way we secure our tabs. The reason why I waited was because I feel like me trying to place these in the right place and kind of, trying to get the tabs in the right spot will really mess up these little details. So I figured put it down first, secure it, and then we can bend all these little guys up. There we go. One thing we haven't done actually is attach the main body onto the back, and I was waiting until we got like kind of all of our pieces kind of together, but I think we're gonna have to do that sooner than later. That looks great. I think pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now that we got this in here, the last step is actually putting the wheels on. Now I went ahead and bent some of these already, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I got to this step. This is pretty much ready for us to put on. Let's go grab this little guy here. This is part 118. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little cake tool here and I'm going to run it down the center. By doing that, it will make this piece curl, kind of like running a ribbon when you have a pair of scissors and you take a ribbon and you kind of run it down that. Same kind of concept when it comes to these pieces right here. Now, before I do that though, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these little side pieces and I'm gonna bend them up. It's all the way here. Now, you could take your table and just kind of bend them all at the same time. That's a very efficient way of doing it. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and just do this. Take the next side here, same thing. Whoopsie. Does anyone ever remember Clay Fighters? I feel like, you know, that's not a game that gets mentioned very often in the gaming community, but back in the day on N64, I loved Clay Fighters. That was a fun, I remember my buddy and I used to play that almost every lunch period, and then after school, we would come home and play as different fighters. And I think they released 2 games. I could be wrong, but we were always rented that one from Blockbuster. That was like one of the major rentals. We never bought it, but it was a rental for sure. A lot of fun. That one, GoldenEye, obviously everyone played GoldenEye, though that's not really one. One of my favorites was Space Station Silicon Valley. If anyone's been watching my channel for a while, I think you might know that. I have a couple of 3D printed projects already ready to go with that one in mind. And you know what? Maybe we can do Clay Fighters too. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, as you saw, that just kind of rolled that up really nice. And now we're at this point here where we can grab our wheels and we can start placing these on. It looks like they get connected at the top, so that's interesting. I'm wondering if I should secure one tab, like down here, just temporarily. And then that way I can feed the other ones in a lot easier without worrying about it falling out. And kind of get to this point here, and it's kind of like, okay. It's interesting that they want you to connect them at the top of each one of these parts. That's a really difficult thing to do, especially right here at the top. I mean, man, okay. You know what we should maybe do instead is maybe next time on the other wheels, what we'll do is we'll secure it by this part here first, and then we'll work our way down. There we go. Got that little cheat code in there. Now we need to get these little last guys in place, being very careful not to squish our detail. If you need to, we can unfold that little bit of detail on the side and we can try to work this in place. What I'm gonna do though right now is, because we got this in place, I'm gonna press this down, and then this will allow me to be a little bit more concentrated on getting the tabs in place as opposed to the whole thing falling apart. Oh, did I go too far? Nope. No, I did not. That's one. Now I get the other one in place. All right, there we go. We did it. We got all 3 wheels on. That is complicated. That is not an easy step, and I'm sure a lot of you are here for this step. You know, there's not a real easy way of doing it. I mean, I think bending that one little tab at the end is the best way to be able to get that in the place that you need to be able to get it in. That was so not easy. That was so not easy. But now that we have this done, we need to attach it to our side plate. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. And we need to orientate it to what we see in the instructions. And then we're going to take this and we're going to place it, it looks like, right here. Last little tab here is just, there we go. I'm actually bending these outward, and I think you're supposed to twist these, but honestly, it's really hard to get a twist out of those. All right, I think that actually is pretty secure, and I'm really happy with the way we got it on. And with that, we're actually finished this part of our video. There was a lot here to conquer, and part 118 was probably one of the hardest bits so far that we've had to deal with outside of some of the other smaller details that we had back here. Groovers, I hope you had a really good time, and if you did, don't forget to press that like button, and if you're new here, press subscribe too, as we got all kinds of really cool projects coming out, and I would love to have you here building with me. Until next time, Groovers, keep building.